It's blueberry gunpowder.
Gunpowder?
Yeah, and I don't know. It's tartar than I would like. Welcome everyone to Spirit Cafe Sessions. Guess what?
We're 50.
Yay, it's our 50th episode. And
Yay.
I am just Nikki with
Kim, still Kim.
I was like, which one is she going to do? It's our 50th episode, and I'm going to tell you guys something. It was frustrating to figure out when to film this, right, Kim?
Yeah.
Kim's schedule exploded this week. My schedule, I got a wrench thrown in the middle of my schedule, so it it was kind of complicated. But I think we're going to take a little bit of a break after this episode, just for about a week or two. But our stories, Kim's musings, that's going on, right? We're still going to keep doing that. We're just going to take an episode break. We're going to rework, and we're going to come back with a whole bunch of new, exciting, fun stuff for you.
Yes, because it has been 50 episodes in a row, so that's 50 weeks.
I know. Also, exciting news that I kept for this episode. Kim has been asked to join a up and coming podcast. She has no idea. This is her lifetime.
Yeah, I have no
Yes.
idea. Oh, okay.
Yes. And it's basically about life, and her experiences and stuff. And so, I'm going to talk about that more in this episode later. This is the first time she heard about this, guys. I kept
Absolutely.
it just so that she could be like,
I'm like, what are you talking about? That did not happen.
I know. I'm so funny sometimes. Okay, first of all, big thank you to everybody who's been so active on our YouTube. It's crazy. I think we're at 256 or something subscribers.
On YouTube?
Yeah.
550. 5 or
556?
556.
So we're insane. We're so grateful. We're so thankful. I mean, it's crazy. Our watch hours are going up. Our watch hours is now what we need to go up. And you guys are doing amazing. You guys love the shorts. Shout out to Becky, who keeps commenting on Becky Ann. Ooh, I said it wrong. Keeps commenting on everything. And of course my family, because my family's commented, so I'm going to throw them a ball there and stuff like that. But we really appreciate it. We really appreciate it. And Kim is coming back with her musings. She is, because I had a couple of client ask. She is. Like I said, her schedule exploded, completely out of her control, and she will get back on musings within the next week or so, right?
Yes, absolutely. I've just, everything's coming to fruition, and then it's going to be back to normal schedule, whatever that is.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. Whatever that might be. Yeah.
Anyway, I pulled for the week that we're going into.
Okay.
And I love it. So here's the thing. I pulled this card. I didn't think it was the right card. I put it back. I shuffled, and then I pulled it again. And that is the Ten of Cups. And I love when that happens, because that is telling me that this week, the first official week of August, a lot of you out there might find yourselves feeling just really emotionally happy and connected. You might feel like you're in a fairy tale. This is the happily ever after fairy tale ending type of card with an emotional situation in your life. Yes, it does. For those asking, yes, it does mean that you could potentially get back together with the love of your life, but it could also mean that you're celebrating a wedding, you're celebrating something with family, you're just really feeling connected and loved. It is a card of love and human connection. So this week we might be feeling that in spades, which is lovely, because we are moving towards the 8-8 portal for those that resonate with that. We do have an eclipse on the 14th in Leo. Yay. That was sarcasm.
The 8-8-8-8-8.
Yeah.
And 2 and 6 is 8 as well. So.
Yeah. And we're coming up on our 1 year anniversary of the podcast, which we'll do something about, but we'll figure that out. Right, Kim? We'll figure it out.
Yes. Because we're very close, because we're 50 in.
So, this episode is spiritual stories, spiritual confessions, spiritual stories. Kim and I said that we would talk about something of ours. I'll be honest, I didn't even think about what I was going to talk about, but then I realized something really weird, that every day, from, I think it was every day last week, and I'm kidding you not. And I texted my friends about this. Every day last week, there was a feather in front of me.
Never texted me.
I was like, did I text you this? Maybe not. Because I didn't realize until the 4th day in, I went to walk my dog, a raven feather flew in my path. That's normal. Ravens are my animal. They're everywhere, always around me. I got a lot of them. So I was like, all right, that's for me. So I pick it up. The next day, it was a pure white feather. So I was like, it was weird. And it literally fell in front of me. So I was like, yeah, so I picked it up. I always pick up feathers that fall in front of me because that's just what I'm like. Here's where it gets weird. The next day, I opened up my front door and there was a feather in the doorway. There has never been a feather in the doorway of my front door. And I've been living here for almost 5 years. And it was a dove feather, which I also very much so like mourning doves. Picked it up. The next day, I found a blue jay feather.
Ooh.
It literally rolled on my path. Dove feather, blue jay feather, and a raven feather. The next day, I mean, I'm not even making this up. I think I have pictures. There was a feather in the doorway of my back door that at that point I was like, what the hell's going on here? And I walked around my house like a crazy person, looking for nests. There are no nests anywhere. The birds stay away from my doors because of my lovely cats and my wonderful rambunctious dog. They stay far away from any of that. So I don't know how that happened. I'm part of a Facebook group. I put it in there on day 6 when I found another feather because I was like, what is going on here? I got a lot of opinions. But I also realized that last week my mind was on one major thing, and that was this podcast. And where we're going to take it, and the shorts, and how we're going to keep promoting it. All I kept thinking about was, how are Kim and I going to do this? What should we do next? How, we're growing, we got to accommodate. And that was it. And then today, or yesterday, when I came up with the plan, I didn't see a feather yesterday or today. So I thought that was weird.
Is it weird?
6 days in a row. 6 days. Well, it's not weird, but for me, I was like, what the heck? So somebody did connect with me in the group that I posted on Facebook, and she said, she's the one who said, what are you thinking about? What is the main thing that's going on in your life this week, if you don't mind me asking? And I said, I said, I got to think about it. And then I got back to her an hour later and I realized, wow, I've been really thinking about this entire week, like this, focused on this. And then I told her, and she says that from what she knows, as a researcher of spirituality, that's what she called herself, I don't know. There's, if you believe it, angels, like do, yeah. Protecting, guiding, that thing that I am super hyper focused on. And they're basically telling you, go, go, go. Like, keep going, keep going, keep going. So I do actually believe that was why I found all those feathers of different birds. Because we are supposed to go, 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 go. We are supposed to rework it. And this is now happening exactly the way that Kim said back in the day when we first launched. Because I remember Kim said that this was going to be something pretty big, pretty spectacular. And I feel like this is now where we're getting at. And I'm taking that whole week of feathers in my face as a sign that, let's go, keep going, keep going. Don't drop the ball, keep going, keep going.
Listen to Kim.
I'm just saying. Just saying. Congratulations to the winner of the mediumship reading, Lori.
Is that Lori? Yes.
Yes, it's Lori. I'm excited. I don't know if you've done it because I didn't ask, but I'm excited for her because I know she's going to.
No, I haven't. I didn't know. Did she reach out? I didn't see that.
No, we have to send her a DM.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't. I was not aware.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. She's very busy as well, so I know that. But I'm excited. I'm excited because she's really going to be so grateful, and it's going to be amazing reading. But anyway, we do have another contest coming up because we hit 500. I'm going to announce that probably this week for everybody, and then we will do another contest at the 1 year. 1 year.
That's what
Repeat
we're going.
Repeat that. To 10,000, a million.
1 million.
1 million.
I'm doing
1 million.
ASMR. What is that? ASMR.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. My kids fall asleep to that. I can't.
Yeah, I can't either.
It's
So
weird. I feel
creepy.
like there's someone. No, I don't. I can't. I can't. I can't do that. But okay, let's get started. This was 10 minutes of rambling. Yikes.
Welcome. Thanks.
Welcome and big thank you, everybody. So, we're going to start. Woohoo.
All right. So you got some stories for us to listen to and talk about.
I do. And I even wrote a little thing about it because I wanted to start with, and I'm not starting with this because he's my favorite psychiatrist ever. I'm starting with it because I remember reading this story when I was going down the rabbit hole of this gentleman. And I was just fascinated because this is when, and I am talking about Carl Jung, this is when he started to incorporate spirituality in psychology and how important it was this event, right? So, let's just jump into his story first, okay? Because I find it's very interesting and a perfect illustration about how our subconscious can lead us where we need to go, right? So, in the early 1900s, Carl Jung was working with a patient who approached life in a very logical and analytical way. Me and Kim are like, yeah, we get it. She struggled to accept anything she couldn't explain with reason, and this made it very difficult to make progress in her therapy. Side note, I have heard that from my own therapist. Many a times. So that's a thing. Okay. One day she came to the appointment and told Jung about a dream she had the night before. In the dream, someone handed her a beautiful golden scarab. It's a beetle that, is the ancient symbol of, I think, transformation. Yeah, it's Egyptian. It's like transformation, death, spiritual awakening, that kind of thing. It's beautiful. Not as scary as they make it seem in the mummy movies.
It's a bug still, yeah.
Well, yes, it's a bug, but it means transformation. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, as she described the dream, something unexpected happened. Jung heard a tap sound coming from the window behind him. He turned around and found a beetle trying to get into the room. He opened the window, caught it, and handed it to his patient, saying, "This must be yours." "This is your scarab?" ? Now, it wasn't literally an actual scarab. It was a regular rose beetle, very common in Europe, but it closely resembled the sacred scarab of ancient symbolism. The timing stunned both Jung and his patient. That moment was so unexpected that it broke through her rigid way of thinking, and Jung later wrote that it became the focal and turning point in her therapy. See?
Very cool.
How many times does that happen with non-believers?
Well, almost every time.
Almost every time. I find it so fascinating, and whenever I see this, whether it's on social media or, actually, the last time I read it, it was a piece, I think, in the New York Post. I can't remember. It was on LinkedIn. But somebody actually wrote what they went through being an atheist and then slowly becoming an agnostic, and then slowly becoming spiritual. Like, that's the path that they took. Believing in nothing, then believing in something, and then fully believing in the trifecta, as they called it. Their version of God, they said spirit guide, angels, so I always find those stories fascinating about how someone can go from being a non-believer to a believer. Much more fascinating than the ones who are believers that then become non-believers, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I feel that the ones who become non-believers, it's completely, obviously everybody has their own path and whatever, but the ones who become non-believers, in my opinion, have allowed themselves to be overtaken by society's harsh view, and
right.
They will take on negativity. They tend to lose hope.
Yeah.
They lose that. It's like a magic. It's like a magical kind of view of life, right? That you have, because you know that you can that things can happen, anything can happen, and you're not stopping yourself. And the ones who have stopped, something has happened to them that they will turn around, and then they will just, that's when they start to not believe anymore, because something's negative. And it, again, only my opinion, sometimes I just think it's because it would just hurt too much if they continued on, just because
that's a good point.
A lot of people are happier at being not happy because they're scared of the future. They're scared of what's what the future can be. Or somebody has gotten in their ear that has said, like, this is garbage or whatever, and has worked with them to stop believing, stop having trust. That's a
very good point, though.
Again, and that's all just my opinion,
but it is safer to sit there because you know that feeling, and you know that feeling is constant. But if you levitate, if you grow into a feeling of happiness, that can be taken away. And the fear of that, that's scary.
Absolutely.
Feeling super happy and then feeling the sudden grief of not being as happy. So a lot of people do tend to stay down there because it's comfortable and it's safe. So I absolutely do understand that. And logically it makes sense, but it's a shame. It's a shame because we all know people like that. We all know people who do that, and we're all like, really? Why though? Why? But it's much more common than people would think.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So are we ready? This is actually from a client of mine. Mm-hmm. She actually wrote this on a forum of some kind.
Reddit or on a spiritual?
Could have been.
Okay.
So, she wrote it on a forum because she was struggling.
Okay.
Spiritually, she was struggling spiritually. So she wrote it out again for me. She was supposed to link me that when she could find it so that I could read the whole thing she wrote, but that's okay. That's okay. We have the gist of it. So, Nikki, a few years ago, my mom passed from cancer in the very early hours one morning, but a few weeks prior, my grandmother, her mother, had fallen and broken her hip. It was such a stressful time for my family. My grandmother was in her 90s, and as expected, when she broke a hip, she obviously declined. She was placed in a rehab center after the injury, and she went from essentially not having any cognitive impairment to being delirious with minimum communication in that short time frame. I've seen that happen so many times.
A lot of times
when I used to work in there.
Especially with your hips, there's so much in there that when they're even when you have like a surgery or whatever, it releases so much into your system, and it's negative and it's toxins, and that's what causes all that stuff to happen.
Yep. Now, my grandma had a stroke in her early 60s, and it did affect her vocabulary for a while, but she could still say a few dozen words and phrases, and she could communicate a lot with context and clues, and sometimes with charades. That evening, my aunt was outside her room talking to the nurse when she heard her talking. She was staring off in the corner of the room, repeating, "Oh, I don't know. Should I go? I don't. Should I?" That was not one of her phrases. My aunt asked who she was talking to, and she completely ignored her and kept repeating that same phrase. A few seconds later, she passed away. I forgot to mention that 17 hours before that, my mom died.
That's gotta be a hard time.
My aunt was a complete mess of a human being to begin with.
No.
For years, we said the only reason my grandma was still around was because she felt responsible for my mother and her and wanted to look out for her. But I'm pretty sure it was my mom in that room telling her that it was okay to come with her. I don't consider myself a religious person. You obviously know that. LOL. But I firmly believe that was my mother's spirit, and no one can tell me otherwise.
That's beautiful. It's gonna be really hard, but that is very beautiful.
Yeah. There was a lot more in there. I did cut it down because it was quite long. She didn't have the best relationship with her mother, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. She did work through all those things. She worked through them quite a bit, and she is not a religious person. I will tell you that right now. I've had many a debates with this lady, but she's just wonderful. She's one of the kindest human beings I've ever known. So she's not religious, but she definitely believes.
This is exactly what happened. Wasn't it Margot Kidder and her mom, Debbie Reynolds? Isn't that her mom?
Yeah, yeah.
And she passed away, and then her mom passed away the next day. Wasn't that her name? Isn't that her name?
That's happened a few times in Hollywood land. In Hollywood land over there.
Yeah. But she's Princess Leia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, like her mom died within, I think, 24 hours of her.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So, it's very common, and, like, it's more common than you would probably realize, because so many people do hold on for...
Yep.
For something. And you'll find a lot of times, too, with people when they pass away, you know, they'll wait until the last kid shows up, or the last person that they want to have there shows up, and then they go. You know, it's something to be said, like with what's there and what's, you know, what kind of control you have.
No, I definitely do believe that. I definitely believe that. I believe that children can see things at times we can't see, because my own kids have described people, seeing people when they were younger, that they haven't even ever seen pictures of. But they've described this relative that is no longer present to a T, and they've never heard this person's name. They've never seen a picture of this person, because I don't even have a picture of this person. But yet they can describe them, including a wheelchair. Like this was when my kid was 2 or 3, I think 3, my oldest, described my great-grandfather as a grumpy man, and he's in a chair, and he's right there, but he's smiling, but he's mean, but he's smiling at me, and he's waving. Totally freaked me out. My great-grandfather, before he passed away, was grumpy, but with children, Santa Claus. With adults, did not like adults. And that's fine, and that's fair, because I think that's most of us these days.
Yeah.
So he was ahead of the time. That freaked me out. That freaked me out. So I do believe kids, because you know why? They're not, there's no shelter. They're not...
Well, they're closer to the veil.
Yeah.
And
there's no influences there.
They haven't experienced that negativity, like a lot of kids have it. We'll be able to see stuff until someone starts saying, "Don't be silly."
Yeah. You didn't see anything.
You got a big imagination, you know.
Yeah.
And that's when the kids start to lose it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's why whenever my kids saw things, I didn't tell. There were certain members of my family I told, and there were certain members of my family I would not tell. And to this day, you know what's funny is that great-grandfather, I did not tell anyone related to that side of my family because of what they're like. I did not. And if you ever listen to this podcast, now you know, haha. But the same thing occurred when my daughter, my youngest daughter, was, I'm going to say, if she says, so she would have been 6 or 7. My stepmother was still alive, and she was visiting. And this was maybe about a month or so before my stepmom had passed, and my daughter would not go near her, which was weird because every kid in my family was obsessed with my stepmother. She was just a beacon of light. I was obsessed with her. And she would go near her, and I thought that was really odd and weird. And she told me she wouldn't go near her because there was a little boy there with her, and he had like things right here, and she was showing her shoulders. And I said to my daughter, my youngest, I said, what does the boy have? And then she's like, white things. There's like white things there. And he's like really nice, but I don't know. And he's dressed weird. And then she just wouldn't go. And my stepmother, very persuasive, big believer, did get up from where she was sitting. and walked over to my daughter because she noticed something was wrong. And I did end up telling my stepmother after what my youngest daughter had seen. And my stepmom did say that what she thought it was, and she did think it was, an angel of some kind. And that where she was sitting and where my daughter claimed to had seen that being, I'm just going to say, with my stepmom, is where I have a little bit of the altar for my stepmom there, specifically in that place. Again, something I didn't tell that side of that family because I know what the reaction would be, and I didn't want my kids to have to hear negative things about that before they should have, do you know? Because eventually they will.
Yeah.
And I didn't want them to hear it at that point in their life.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I do believe that that you're right, that a lot of people, it's open and it just shuts down once other things come in.
Yep.
Right?
And
okay,
a lot of people too, just to say, like, people saying, like, why aren't there more kids who are kind of doing mediumship and stuff? And really, we don't like to encourage it until after they've had a bit of life, because it can just be really hard to understand, to go between both places. It's just not in their best interest until they're, older and had more experiences. Because mental health is very important. And if you don't quite understand something and you do have somebody questioning you or kind of putting in negativity, that can make you really question what's going on with yourself.
100%.
And kids are already, with their hormones and everything else, they're already too worried about what's going on and how they're different or how they're, how they're wrong or not, inferior. So just.
It's true though.
Yeah.
It's very, very true. Okay, let's move on to our another little spiritual story we've got here, okay? Anonymous, by the way.
Anonymous.
When I was 14, I had to get my braces as my teeth were really bad. And the doctor said I would need my jaw broken and a few surgeries just to prepare for them. Yep, I was one of those kids. But we didn't have the money. So my dad took me through a prayer line at our church. And I will never, ever forget him telling the pastor, and then the pastor touching my arm and praying for me through the line. 2 weeks later, we go back to the orthodontist. In the middle of the exam, he looks at my dad and says, "May I speak to you in the hallway, please?" And after coming back in, he finishes the exam and says, "You need to come back next week." When we get into the car, my dad has a huge smile on his face, and I asked him what was going on. My dad said that when they got into the hallway, the orthodontist asked my dad if I was playing a joke on him and did he have twin daughters. My dad told him the truth. He had gone through a prayer line. The doctor basically stated that surgery was no longer needed. Something shifted. His words shifted his entire mouth. He would only need to put the braces on. There was no need for a surgery. He asked me to come back the next week just in case he read this second set of x-rays wrong. When I came back, he had 2 different colleagues x-ray and look at it and compare all x-rays together. Guess what? I only wore braces on my bottom teeth. This orthodontist was so shocked and happy and scared at the same time that he paid for the bill because he was also a Christian. Is that crazy?
Wow.
That's not the first time that's happened.
That's
where somebody has went into an appointment like that already knowing the results and the results change. I've read them. I've experienced it with a member of my family who should have had chemotherapy, and then all of a sudden there's no cancer and the doctor's like, what's going on? And tests were done over and over again and no cancer when the first diagnosis said cancer. This stuff does happen. That family member, a devout Catholic, so also prayed, right? Well, listen, we're not saying pray. If you pray, all diseases, all things are going to go away. That's not how it works. But sometimes weird things happen.
Miracle.
Yeah,
And the
and
magic
that's it. It's
to
a
believe
miracle.
in.
Yeah, it's literally, it's seen as a miracle. We've all heard these stories. We've all read these stories. We've all seen these stories. I actually have one. Actually, I think it was the one I posted today. Our Lady of Syracuse, one of the weeping statues. They couldn't even scientifically prove as to why this statue was weeping off the wall, on the wall, upside down. Like some stuff, unfortunately, is unexplainable. And to someone like me and Kim, who need to always have physical evidence, it hurts our brain, but we've accepted that at times it doesn't happen that way. And we're much happier that we did. So,
Yes.
anyway, I had to share that story because I thought that is a major one that resonates.
Well, that Richard does that too, Reverend Richard, who did the Spirit Guide episode. He does healing, and he's got several stories of where he would send out healing on request, and one lady didn't need to have knee surgery anymore, and she lived in the US, so that is very expensive, and the doctors were shocked. Another person, they didn't have cancer anymore. So, again, not saying that these things can, it's always going to happen.
Don't rely just on that.
Yes,
is what we're saying.
but believe that it can happen.
Oh yeah.
With, I don't know, this, like, kind of with me, I know, this stuff does happen. When I had that fire that we've talked about and everything, I could not function for a long time, for probably about 10 months. At any time I'd hear, and I work downtown, so every time I hear a fire engine, I would go into a puddle. I would just start crying. And I would just like panic, and I would have to try to calm myself down. And I had done a reading one night, and he had come because it was with a man, so he wanted to be there just to make sure everything was okay. And so he said, before you go, I just want to give you a bit of a healing. I know, because he actually saw it happen. Because
right.
a fire,
yeah,
we have a
there.
fire truck just down the street from us, so or firehouse. And so, and he's like, I want to give you a healing. So he gave me a healing. And I don't even know if it was like 2 weeks later, I had gone to like a Halloween kind of a thing. And it was outside, and it was really, really, we did a hike and whatever. And then it was probably about 10, 15 minutes before I realized at the end of the evening that I was sitting beside a bonfire. A massive bonfire. And I couldn't do that before.
You see? I'm telling you, there's something there. I don't know if it's, I don't know if it's a placebo effect. I don't know if it's just our brain, because, mind over matter is very much so a thing. But that kind of stuff is fascinating to me. Prayers or intentions, whatever, people call them. They call them different things. And how they work even with long distances, because that's not the first time I've heard that. I've not heard that. And the thing is, energy is such a powerful thing. People underestimate how powerful it is until the energy is toxic and negative and stuff. They don't think about how incredible it is when that energy is high vibrational, as young people call it, when it's love and forgiveness and heal. Like, that is like, you feel a difference. There's a reason why people will go into certain meditations and come out like ecstatic, or do Reiki, right, with an actual Reiki person, like, and they come out and they feel like they've never felt that way in years. They feel ecstatic, right? There's a reason, because energy and energy transference, whether people want to believe it, is a real thing, and people have to be more serious about it, I feel.
Yeah, and there's Reiki, but there's also, like, this, we practice spiritual healing. Yeah. And healing is actually the highest form of mediumship. So I can do mediumship long distance. So you can do healing long distance.
Yep, I believe it.
There's no question. You just need to trust.
It's true. That's what it is. It's trust. It's absolute trust. Surrender, let it go, trust, and that's it. That's it. Something we have trouble with as human beings, which is hilarious. But okay, next story. A little bit of a long one.
Okay.
Okay? Alrighty. At the time, it was a couple years after my mother's death. Her and I were very close. Now, I was very worried because I was having an issue involving my boyfriend. It was a very big, serious issue that both of us were unable to fix or even deal with. I'm not going to say what the issue is, it's too long, but let's just say I was sick over it, and it could have meant a very long jail sentence for my boyfriend, even though he wasn't guilty. One Saturday afternoon, I lay down on my bed with my dog just to rest for a few moments. This was right after I had what everyone calls now a crash out. So sobbing, she sobbed. That's what I call it. I immediately felt myself falling and falling backwards inside of my head. In the far distance, I could hear my dog barking and barking. Just so everyone is aware, I did have special meditation music on. I think it was a heart's frequency, but I can't remember which one. I was trying to learn how to meditate at this time. Anyway, when I got to whatever I was going, it was nighttime, and it used to be the state fairgrounds. The merry-go-round and the Ferris wheel were lit up and running, and I heard music from the merry-go-round. Now I looked over to my left, and I saw my mother sitting on a park bench, dressed in a blouse she was known to wear often, and her wearing her glasses, and she had her cane with her as well, the cane that she actually hated. But she didn't speak to me, she just looked. To my right, there was a man approaching me, and he was dressed like a cowboy, and he was smiling. I had never seen this individual in my life. He told me I had nothing to worry about, nothing bad would happen to my boyfriend, everything is going to sort its way out, that someone else that was responsible will come forward. Exactly what he said. The person responsible will come forward. And he also said the person responsible is a little bitty man. Suddenly, my eyes opened up and I was back in my bed, covered in sweat and wide awake. I didn't know how much time had passed, most likely not more than 30 minutes. And I don't know, was this a dream or did I meditate? Did I hallucinate? Like, what was going on? To this day, I still don't 100% know what it is. To make myself feel better, I say that I just drifted to sleep and it was a dream. Now I looked at my dog and she was fast asleep on the bed. I tried to wake her up and I couldn't. I shook her, I lifted her, shook her again. She wouldn't wake up. I watched her very carefully and she was breathing. And I felt, for a heartbeat, she was breathing slowly as well. I just kept stroking her, giving her a little shake every now and then. And about 5 minutes later, she was awake and fine. I could have dismissed this all as a very lucid dream, if not for my dog. She was comatose, or worse, for several minutes, I could not wake her up. This is why I'm not sure what the heck I went through. But guess what? 2 weeks later, everything did work out. And the man that was responsible that tried to pin it on my boyfriend / my now husband was only 4 feet, 7 inches tall. Yeah, that's a good one. And I wanted to read that one because now that story's actually been published elsewhere. And I came across it a few months ago. And I wanted to bring it up because I think it's fascinating because did she dream it? Or did she meditate it? And she didn't take anything either. There was a thing where she said she doesn't take anything ever. She doesn't do drugs. She doesn't do alcohol due to some health issues that she has. She can't, whatever. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to read that because I thought that was interesting. Was it a dream? But the fact that she kept trying to wake up her dog and her dog was completely comatose, in a sense, her words, right? Is very interesting. Very interesting. I meditate, but I've never gotten to that. You know what I mean? I've never gotten to the point where I don't know if I'm meditating or I'm dreaming. But here's the thing, when I meditate, I am actually deathly scared to get to that point. That's a fear of mine. So I do time my meditations, and I do somehow control how deep I go into them, which you do learn how to do with consistent meditation. It did take me about 6 months. But I will tell you that I did learn how to control my lucid dreams. So if I know I'm lucid dreaming, and I usually know right off the bat now, and I don't like the way that it's going, like case in point, the other day I was telling one of my friends that I was dreaming that there was somebody trying to kill me, and he was chasing me, and it was a serial killer from a movie, and I was very annoyed. He never got me in the dream because I ended up taking over the dream, but it was very frightening at one point. I ended up just kicking him down the stairs and locking him in the basement. But like, I don't even know where the basement came from. I just created a basement in my dream right where he was running, because I turned around and he's running at me, and I just created a basement there. I said, there's stairs in there and a door. And then he ran down the stairs, and I locked the door behind him. And it had like 18 deadbolts on it. I remember turning them in my dream. And I know, because I know what that means. If I Google it out, I know what the answer is. I know what that dream meant. But I've never went into a meditation or a dream like what she did. And I don't want to, because it scares me.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's fascinating. Like that is crazy. That's crazy. But there were a lot of people commenting on that story and saying that she most likely was listening to third eye, like a frequency that stimulates your third eye, right? And that she potentially could have been one of the clairsenses coming to play. But there was a lot of people that said that they thought that gentleman in her dream was her spirit guide.
Very, very possibly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've very frequently said I don't believe in stuff until I've experienced it.
Right.
But
mm-hmm.
that doesn't mean that I don't believe that it's possible. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it makes sense.
You know, and same thing, like tarot. Not that I didn't believe in it. I was like, okay, people seem to like it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until I had readings that were like, excuse me? Like basically listening to readings
mm-hmm.
that from the past that were explaining my present. And that's when I realized, holy, there is something to this. You know?
It's true.
And it can blow your mind. So don't be so close-minded about things. Like, oh, that can't happen. That can't happen. Anything can happen.
Yeah. It's true. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. And I think everyone, at least once in their life, experiences something that they never thought that was possible.
No. Yeah.
Right. At least once. I am a firm believer that everyone goes through something that they never believed in or never even gave a second thought of until they went through it, and then they're like, holy
mm-hmm.
crap.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Well, it's even just part of being a human and having, you know, relationships with other people, and to start to get that, you know, empathy and be able to, you know, care about how other people feel, you know, things like that. It's very, I think it's very similar, right? Because you're growing, you're opening up. And when you're opening up, especially to other energies, that can seep in, and that can help you bring you up, and it can bring you down. So you 100%. Do have to be careful.
No, 100%. You're absolutely right. That being said, our dreams can be very telling. Our dreams do work on a subconscious level. Do I believe in premonitions through dreams? I don't know. I've dreamed things and then they've come true, yes. But was it my subconscious work, like deep work in my subconscious? It also was. So was it a premonition or was it my subconscious? Very interesting, the way the human mind works. I've always been fascinated about that part of Chester, the human mind. And I wanted to end this, not episode, but this episode with a very interesting story, which is quite famous. And I shortened it down so that we don't have to go through all of it. And it's the case of Maria Martin. She was a missing woman in an English village in the 1800s, and how her killer was brought to justice. And it happened through a dream, which was so fascinating. And he was convicted, which was even more fascinating because back then dreams meant witchcraft, right? So I want to just tell this story. In the late 1800s, there was a woman named Maria Martin, and she disappeared from a small English village. Now, her fiance, William, told everyone they had secretly run away together and that Maria was happy. He even produced letters that appeared to come from her, explaining why she wasn't returning home. Months passed, then almost a year. Her family missed her terribly, but they had no proof that anything was wrong, except for one person, her stepmother. Night after night, Maria's stepmother began having the same unsettling dream. In the dream, she saw Maria's body buried beneath the floor of an old barn known as the Red Barn. The dream was so vivid that she woke up convinced it wasn't just a nightmare. She started to pray about these dreams. At first, no one believed her. It sounded impossible. After all, why would a dream reveal something so specific? But the dreams continued, every single night. Eventually, she begged her husband to search the barn. Reluctantly, he agreed. He dug beneath the floorboards, and there, buried exactly where his wife had described, was his only daughter's decaying body. William was eventually arrested, tried, and convicted of her murder, all because of a dream. That happens all the time, though. All the time. Now, part of that story is the stepmother did not like this character for her stepdaughter's husband, so she already wasn't happy with him. So some people were like, well, that's why she pinpointed him. I mean, she turned out to be correct, and he did confess to the crime that he murdered her. But then that also brings you to the path of intuition. She picked something up on this smiling, handsome gentleman that just felt off. And though everyone else liked him, she was like, something's wrong with this guy. So subconscious, intuition, at the end of the day, they interconnect.
Yep. Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
In a way. Okay. So I'm going to end this with a question.
Oh.
Okay. The question that one of my clients asked, because I did tell him that I couldn't read for him on this one day because we were filming the podcast, and it was a big one. It was the 50th one. So my client Andrew would like to know, did we learn anything doing this podcast and the first 50 episodes that we did not know before we started it? And he means spiritually. He doesn't mean tech. Because I thought he meant tech-wise. So I started answering, and he's like, I don't mean the software. I mean spiritually. And I was like, oh,
yeah, we learned
sorry.
one is not good.
Yeah. I was like, I learned a lot. I was good at editing. Now I'm like awesome at editing with what I learned. But that's not what he meant. So he's going to get a kick out of that. Mm-hmm. He meant, what did we learn spiritually? That was a good question. And I still didn't have an answer for him at the time. But one of the things I did learn was that researching, learning, spirituality is a bottomless pit in such a great way. In such a exciting way that makes you want to keep going and going. And you know what? It's like Wonderland. That's what it is. It's like Wonderland. Spirituality is like Wonderland. And I'm not saying that because I'm obsessed with Alice in Wonderland. I'm saying that because it is. And like, until you really dive into it and different parts of it, whether that's history, whether that's techniques, whether that's stories, whatever it is, you don't really know. And it's so fascinating because it makes you just want to learn and learn and learn and learn. And anyway, so that's something that I guess I picked up and learned during the first 50th episodes.
Well, I think because I've learned so much coming up into this, I think what it did was really helped me with my trust. Because, I can be irreverent, I can, say whatever, but, I'm human. And, there's still the days where it's like, do I trust, this, is this really going to happen? And to actually make a decision and openly trust and just give it to spirit. I think that's something that I really learned through this, because And how many times is it that we haven't, we've prepared a little bit, but then, we're talking about the same things, and I'm talking about stuff before you even bring it up. And so it's,
I love that.
To me, I've just learned like that spirit, like truly believe, like I truly believe now, not that I didn't before, but like it's really hard to explain, but I know they have our back. I know they're here. They're
100%.
They're pushing us through this, and I am incredibly grateful. Life is just, there's struggles, but it's blossoming like just so beautifully. And it's really put me in a place where I love to do this. This is one of my happy times, right? Because it's part of this bigger thing. It's part of a greater adventure.
I was going to say, it's an adventure. It is an adventure. And it's an unpredictable one, which is always the best kind. But I like, you're right. You're absolutely right, because there's definitely this energy behind keep pushing, keep going. And we're going to take a break. And when I say break, it's probably like we're taking a week off, guys. We're going to be back, and we're going to miss one Sunday, and then we're going to be back, knowing me and Kim, with brand new episodes and whatnot, and people interested in being guests. So I've got a handful of people very interested in being guests on this podcast, which is super exciting because we haven't had a guest in so long. But yeah, so thank you guys for joining the 50th episode, which is crazy to us. Please keep spreading the word, because you guys are doing so great. Like, it's been so phenomenal. You guys have been like, we cannot thank you enough for what's going on with YouTube. We got to keep going. So please help us. Hit the Kim's little bell over there, as I call it. Comment, share, subscribe. Yes. Thank you. Like it's phenomenal, and we're so grateful to all you guys and for sticking with us, as Kim said, because the first few episodes and the platform that we had used was
technical issues were we recorded some of those episodes so many times we were almost like sick of it. It's like,
Kim had to replace her equipment how many times? It wasn't even Kim's equipment. Let's just leave it at that.
And, it was always like, what is this? And then we changed
what is it now?
episodes,
what is it today?
Or we changed platforms, and oh my gosh, like night and day.
Night and day.
So thanks for listening when it wasn't so great.
Yes, I was going to say thank you for listening. Thank you for listening. And thank you for joining us on this amazing milestone episode. We will see you on YouTube with our shorts for the next couple of weeks before the new episode pops up. And I hope you guys have a phenomenal weeks while Kim and I off. I hope that you have a phenomenal week.
Send in your stories.
Yeah. Comment, emails, whatever. Send it all in. And we will go through it all.
Yes.
Okay? Have a phenomenal week or two, guys. Bye.
Bye.